Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to start our new chapter in biology, that is tissues. In this chapter, we will be discussing about unicellular and multicellular organisms, significance of tissues, why plant and animal tissues are different, plant tissues and animal tissues we will be studying in detail. To start with, we will take our first point, that is number of cells. We all know that living organisms are made up of cells. On the basis of number of cells, they are classified as unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are those in which all the metabolic activities are carried out by a single cell. For example, amoeba. Multicellular organisms are those which are made up of a we all know that living organisms are made up of cells. On the basis of number of cells, they are classified as unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are those in which there is only one cell. All the metabolic activities are carried by a single cell. For example, amoeba. Multicellular organisms are made up of number of cells. These cells are modified differently in their morphology to perform different but specific functions. In animals, including human beings, muscle cells are specialized for contraction and relaxation to bring about movement. Similarly, in plants, chlorenchymal cells are adapted for photosynthesis. Xylem does the work of conduction of water and minerals. So, in multicellular organisms, cellular specialization associated with division of labor and increased efficiency. These group of cells which have specific structure, position and function are known as tissue. All the cells which together constitute a tissue have a common origin. So, a tissue is defined as a group of cells having a common origin and function. Significance of tissues. Division of labor in the multicellular organisms have been brought in due to formation of tissues, and you already know what is division of labor. It means different parts of the body perform different functions. So these tissues combine to form organs and organs form organ system. To make it more simple, let me make you understand that cells form tissues, tissues form organs, organ forms organ system and organ systems form a complete organism. Histology. So what is histology? Study of tissues is known as histology. Now next we will be discussing about the differences between plant and animal tissues in our next slide. Differences between plant and animal tissue. So in plant tissue, the organization is very simple, and in animal tissue it is very complex due to the division of labor. So the division of labor is found in animal tissues, that is why they have a complex organization. Second, mode of nutrition in plants is autotrophic. Autotrophic means they prepare their own food, and in animal it is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Third, plants are stationary. Stationary means they are fixed at a definite place, whereas animals move from one place to another in search of food and shelter. That is why they have active locomotion. Fourth is that plants have dead supportive tissues. As plants have dead supportive tissue, they have mechanical strength. That is why they can withstand even very harsh climatic conditions. In animals, most of the tissues are living. Fifth is plants grow continuously. So these plants, they grow throughout their life, but their growth is confined to certain parts only. Some plant tissues lose their ability to divide after a certain time. Contrary to this, in animals, growth is uniform and it is not confined to a particular region. Unlike plants, animals grow only till a certain time period in their lives. That is, animals grow up to a certain period of life, that is reaching maturity. Last is plant tissues need less energy for maintenance and animal tissues require more maintenance energy. Here you can see the classification of plant tissue, and this table you have to draw in your notebook very neatly. So as you can see over here that plant tissues are classified into two broad groups. First is meristematic tissue and the second is permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue is further classified into three groups. First is apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Permanent tissue is divided into two groups, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now simple permanent tissue is again divided into parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, and sclerenchyma consists of fibers and sclerids. Complex permanent tissue is divided into phloem and xylem. About phloem and xylem you have already studied that phloem is responsible for the translocation of food and xylem is responsible for the minerals and water. Now phloem consists of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Xylem consists of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Now let us discuss meristematic tissue. So meristematic tissue are living cells with the ability to divide repeatedly and form new cells. So the cells forming the tissue are called meristematic cells. Initially the meristematic cells are similar, but after some time they grow, they differentiate and they mature into parts of various permanent tissues. So permanent tissues we will be discussing later on. Now let us discuss some of the points of meristematic tissue. You can see on the right hand side there is a cross section of meristematic tissue. So let us come to the first point. It is that the cells of meristematic tissue are similar in structure and they have thin elastic cellulose cell walls. So the cell wall is made up of cellulose and it is very thin. Second point, the cells may be round, they can be oval, polygonal or rectangular in shape. So their shapes are different. They are compact, having no intercellular space. So intercellular space means the space or the gap that is found in between the cells. So here you can see that they are very closely packed and you cannot find any space between them. So they are compact and they have no intercellular space. There is a large nucleus and abundant cytoplasm. The protoplasm contains very few or no vacuoles at all. So children, just remember these points that meristematic tissues, they have the ability to divide repeatedly. That is why they can form new cells. In this diagram, you can see the location of the different types of meristematic tissue. First is apical meristem. You can see that it is located at the tips of the roots and the shoots. Next is intercalary meristem. It is located in between the nodes. And the last is lateral meristem. It is located at the sides of the stems. Apical meristem. It is the meristem present at the tip of the root and stem, commonly called as root apex and shoot apex respectively. Means they are present at the top of the root and stem. That is why they are known as root apex and shoot apex. Such meristems constitute the actively growing regions in the plant body. And due to the activity of apical meristem, the plant body keeps increasing in its length. So, it is responsible for the linear growth of a plant organ. Elongation of root and shoot occurs due to shoot apical meristem. Apical meristem causes increase in the height of the plant by elongation of root and stem. This is called primary growth. Intercalary meristem. This is located at the base of the nodes, internodes, leaves, etc. They are also present in between the permanent tissue. It produces an increase of the length of an organ. So the leaves and internodes increase in length due to intercalary meristem. It is usually found at the base of nodes and internodes or the base of the leaves. In grasses, the intercalary meristem regenerate the parts removed by grazing herbivores. Now the last is lateral meristem. This tissue lies on the sides of plant body. It lies under the bark of the plant in the form of cork cambium. The meaning of cork cambium I will just give you afterwards. It gives the plant its width or girth. So the lateral meristem possesses certain initials which divide in one plane. The diameter of the plant organ, that is root and shoot, they increase due to the lateral meristem. So this increase in girth of root and stem is called secondary growth.